Hello, 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 everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. On behalf of Busboys and Poets, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion with Jonathan Rosenblum. About his latest release, We're Coming for You in Your Rotten System, How Socialists Beat Amazon and Upended Big City Politics. We can clap and celebrate. That's what we're here for. Thank you, thank you. We're a small crowd tonight, but I can tell we're a mighty bunch, so we're going to stay lively. Also, an intimate group means we can answer all of your questions, so that is a great thing. And if you don't know anything about us, Busboys and Poets is a community where racial and cultural connections are consciously uplifted, and a space for art, culture, and politics to intentionally collide. Our Busboys and Poets servers are going to be helping us out throughout the entire program with putting in orders. I also want to remind you that there's going to be a Q&A at the end of the discussion and a book signing at the end of the program. And We're Coming for You and Your Rotten System is here available for purchase. Also, if you are tuning in online, we are live streaming here tonight. If you're tuning in online, you can still get a signed copy. Just email us at bookevents@busboysandpoets.com after the program to coordinate your pickup. And now a little bit about the book we'll be discussing here tonight. Seattle was the first major city to mandate a $15 minimum wage, the first to implement a payroll tax on Amazon to build affordable housing, the first to secure a bevy of renters' rights laws, making good on the slogan, "Housing is a human right." Behind these remarkable breakthroughs in the 2010s stood a small but feisty Marxist movement, Socialist Alternative, and the city council member they helped to elect, Kshama Sawant. In a municipal government dominated by pro-business Democrats, Sawant and the popular street movements she led against major corporations headquartered in the region, including Amazon, Boeing, Microsoft, and Starbucks, won battles that would transform the city's trajectory for years to come. We're Coming for You and Your Rotten System tells this extraordinary story from the inside. Rosenblum, who worked in Sawant's office and alongside community activists throughout this dynamic decade, weaves together intimate storytelling and political analysis to show how and why the movement succeeded where other progressive outsiders, such as Bernie Sanders and AOC, have failed. For political activists searching desperately to make sense of the world after the re-election of Donald Trump, the Seattle experience offers a vital framework for fighting our way out of the despairing miasma of 21st century capitalism. And now, let me tell you a little bit about our speaker as well. Jonathan Rosenblum has caused trouble for the rich and powerful for over 40 years. He's helped workers throughout North America organize, bargain, and strike in a wide range of industries, warehousing and logistics, higher education, healthcare, and public service. A member of the National Writers Union and veteran newspaper reporter, he has published dozens of articles about organizing and is the author of Beyond 15, Immigrant Workers, Faith Activists, and the Revival of the Labor Movement, on his experience leading the first Fight for $15 campaign in SeaTac, Washington. During Kshama Sawant's decade on the Seattle City Council, he worked on her council staff as an election campaigner. And now I'll pass it off to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madison. Thank you, Madison, and everybody who came out to Busboys and Poets tonight. Thank you to Busboys and Poets for hosting. I know we're a small crowd. I would normally just sit down there and we make a circle, but since this is being live streamed, we'll do it this way, and then we'll have a more intimate Q&A afterwards. Also, solidarity to all my union siblings in the National Writers Union. Raise your hand if you're a member of the NWU. That's great. If you're a journalist, a book author, a writer or blogger, or other media freelance worker and want to learn more about our feisty union, please come and talk with any of us afterwards. If you're online, nwu.org is the way to go. Solidarity greetings from Kshama Sawant in Seattle, who is running right now as an independent socialist for Congress against Adam Smith, a 28-year incumbent Democrat, pro-genocide, a darling of AIPAC, the weapons industry, and the billionaire class, and we need to take him out. It's good to be here with you tonight in occupied D.C. You are on the front lines of a battle the likes of which we haven't seen on a national scale in generations. Or, to put it in another way, all of society is now experiencing how black and brown communities, indigenous communities, and immigrants have been treated since forever. Tonight, I'll talk a little bit about the lessons of Seattle that are applicable to this moment and share some thoughts about where we need to go from here. But I also want to hear from you about the central question of how we fight back in this period of extreme reaction. Now, I was in New York last night at a DSA-sponsored event. It was exciting. Zoran Mamdani's campaign, as you know, for mayor, has stimulated a vital discourse over our basic needs: transit, rent, food, protection from ICE, and more, versus the interests of the billionaire class. On Tuesday, New York is likely to make history, and progressives in other cities may win office as well. But for us, elections must not be a finish line, but a waypoint in the fight for our demands. And that's because after Tuesday comes Wednesday. And that's when, as you know, the fight escalates to an entirely new level. For anyone who has been involved in a union campaign, you'll recognize the big business reaction because it's the same as what we see on the shop floor. Fear and intimidation, co-opting leadership, dividing the base by attacking those most vulnerable, spreading lies, the whole 9 yards. Except that when the movement wins on Tuesday, the reaction will be orders of magnitude greater than any union-busting campaign that we have seen. You know that in New York and other places where the left makes electoral inroads, big business and billionaires are preparing to escalate their class war with capital strikes, threats of capital flight, harnessing the mainstream media to stir up fear and anxiety, buying off politicians. You know that the Democratic Party establishment, while grudgingly accepting the reality of a Mamdani victory, will continue to work tirelessly to buy off, divert, constrict, undermine, and ultimately kill any movement that is to the left of their neoliberal capitalist ideology. And then there's Trump. We already have battle lines drawn in places like here, Chicago, Los Angeles, but I think any sober assessment has to assume that over the coming months, and maybe much, much sooner, Trump will surge National Guard and ICE into New York and other cities that elect progressive mayors while cutting off federal funding. It is kind of shocking, really, to say these words, but that is the state of America today. It is open class warfare. So we need to be honest and direct about what is coming, because then we can prepare and we can fight back. I wrote the book, We're Coming for You and Your Rotten System: How Socialists Beat Amazon and Upended Big City Politics, to chronicle how over the course of a full decade, on the strength of a single socialist seat in a 9-member city council in Seattle, Washington, we won transformative victories: a first-ever tax on Amazon to build social housing, incidentally beating Amazon's capital strike in the process; the first big city to win a $15 minimum wage, going to over $21 an hour in January now; breakthrough renters' rights, abortion and mental health funding, a ban on caste discrimination, funding for LGBTQ youth services, and much, much more. But my book does more than just tell these stories from the street level. It analyzes why it happened and how it can be replicated. We did not win by trying to change mainstream political parties from within or by playing by the establishment's rules. We formed our own independent political movements. We built power outside of the establishment parties, and yes, in direct opposition to both of them. Our movement was led by Kshama Sawant, a Marxist, and the political organization that she belonged to, Socialist Alternative. Kshama saw herself in office as a shop steward for the working class, accountable to the people in the streets, not the suites. Our office was a strategic position where we built outside disruptive movements strong enough to force concessions. I worked for most of the decade in Kshama's council office. My book details both the theory and the practice of what I call the 3 pillars of Marxist insurgent struggle. And Seattle is not DC, but the underlying class dynamics are the same. What are those 3 things? First, we recognize that political struggle is class struggle, and that our main responsibility, therefore, was to use our political office to build mass street movements to force political concessions. We were not there to hobnob with the other politicians. We understood that the state is not some sort of neutral space for the contest of ideas. And by the state, I mean the full range of institutions that establish, maintain, and enforce the capitalist order, including the executive and legislative branches, the bureaucracy, the courts, and the police, along with adjacent institutions, including the mainstream media and mainstream political parties. The political arena in capitalist society is specifically designed to uphold and reproduce the status quo. So to achieve anything, we had to reject that order and break those rules. We had to disrupt politics as usual. Our second principle was advancing bold material demands that are explicitly connected to the call for broader societal change. We experienced, as you have here in DC, how working people alienated by mainstream politics will get engaged when they see a movement that speaks to their most profound material and social needs, explains the underlying problem, and provides a course of action. Now, bold demands are also important to us as socialists because through the fight we need to educate and engage our neighbors and coworkers about capitalism's inability to meet our most basic needs, and therefore why we must build movements not just for reform, but for systemic change, for a socialist future. Rent freeze? Yes, absolutely, but we must aim in the long run to kick the big landlords out entirely because housing must be a human right, not a commodity. The third principle that we practiced was popular movement democracy, the ongoing engagement of community members in setting demands and deciding strategies for how to fight for those. We must, in the movement, insist on a much broader definition than the customary definition of democracy in capitalist society. Kshama and Socialist Alternative invited community members into forums where they would discuss and decide what demands to place before the city and how to wage those fights. The $15 minimum wage and the Amazon tax strategies were developed through neighborhood and citywide meetings, culminating in mass meetings and hundreds of workers. We organized these popular assemblies also for tenants' rights, housing, LGBTQ rights, and a ceasefire in Gaza. We took over city council meetings with hundreds of people repeatedly. So those three pillars, a fighting class struggle approach, bold demands, and movement democracy. But we need more than that. We also need organization to drive those principles forward. During the 10 years that Kshama was in office, that organization was Socialist Alternative, and it stood in sharp opposition to the Democratic Party political establishment, recognizing that the 50-year neoliberal project is a bipartisan one. For working people, the federal minimum wage hasn't budged in 16 years, even when Democrats controlled Congress and the White House. Democrats failed to enshrine women's health care rights or improve labor law or grant D.C. statehood when they held Congress. Military budgets go up no matter who is in power. Genocide and imperialism continue no matter which party is in the White House. Democrats killed the Green New Deal. Police killings disproportionately of young black and brown men go up under both parties. Both parties are funded by and serve big business. Both are absolutely committed in their symbiotic relationship of contesting with one another yet colluding to uphold capitalism. Now, I recognize that that many people in the room, not necessarily in the room, but a number of the people we work with in the movement today want to believe that we can change the Democratic Party from within. Zoran Mamdani believes that. For most of my life, I believed that too. And it may be true, especially at the local level, that you can win some tactical victories from time to time by working with the establishment. Fundamentally, the Democratic Party is a dead end for the hopes and dreams of working people. It's not just socialists who recognize that. Today, nearly 60% of Americans believe that neither the Democrats nor the Republicans represent them, and that a new political party is needed. People want change. Today, there is tremendous energy that can be harnessed into a massive social movement that can defeat Trump and the fascists. The October No Kings rallies were truly impressive in scale and energy. How many of you were out there? And you'll be at the next one, I'm sure. That's okay. There'll be another one. Let's give credit to everyone who turned out, not just in cities like Seattle and DC, but more significantly, people who turned out by the hundreds and more in cities and towns that went decisively for Trump last year. But how this grassroots energy gets harnessed and where it gets directed will determine whether it becomes a mass social movement to check Trump and then turn the tide back in our favor. Politicians on No Kings Day took microphones to tell us that to stop Trump, we have to elect Democrats. No Kings event organizers downplayed demands like Medicare for all, raising the minimum wage, taxing billionaires, a Green New Deal, and more. And in some places, they even refused to let Free Palestine speakers get airtime. This may be disappointing to some, but it should not be surprising. A few years ago, Nancy Pelosi, when asked about the party's openness to socialist ideas, replied, "We're capitalist, and that's just the way it is." By steering the budding anti-Trump movement into the blind alley of establishment politics, the leading organizers of No Kings are threatening to squander this budding grassroots energy. For those of us who want systemic change, let's be clear, you cannot build an anti-capitalist movement inside a capitalist party. So it's going to be essential for the movements that we build in DC and elsewhere to be independent, outside of the establishment, built neighborhood by neighborhood, lowercase d, democratic, and be willing to challenge politicians no matter how much they claim to be our friends. I want to finish up where I started with the central question, what do we do right after the election? It's a question for all of us, but here where the National Guard is and elsewhere on the front lines, the question has special urgency. I would like to hear your thoughts during our Q&A. How do we continue building the movement? What does escalation look like? I've been asking people this question everywhere I go. I was meeting with workers in Ottawa, Ontario earlier this week, and of course we ended up talking about New York. A union brother of federal workers said bluntly they need to transform their mobilizing apparatus into a class war machine. I think he's right. If we were a union in the workplace, we would be building our organizing committees department by department. We'd have an escalating plan of action, steps to build worker confidence as we project our power, and we'd be escalating toward a strike because you know that the strike is our most powerful tool as workers and that to move the boss and win your demands, you have to disrupt and shut down their business. We have to do the same thing here and in other cities. In New York, some have suggested launching a mass petition, 1 million New York City signatures demanding a rent freeze, universal child care, and fast and free buses. Okay, that's a start, but it's not enough. Our escalation plan has to point to disruption, a strike against capital, to push back against the fascists, advance our demands, and defend our freedom. Maybe it includes huge citywide marches in New York and elsewhere when Mamdani and others are inaugurated. Maybe it's shutting down cities when Trump tries to bring his ICE fascists in. Coordinated strikes and direct actions against the billionaires and the weapons dealers. Mass civil disobedience. We have to be willing to break the rules because the rules are designed for workers to lose. Big ideas? Yes. Crazy ideas? Maybe. Ideas that we're not able to execute now that will take time and tremendous organizing to manifest? Absolutely yes. But we'd better be thinking and planning on this scale with urgency. More than a century ago, during World War I, Rosa Luxemburg wrote, quote, "Bourgeois society stands at the crossroads, either transition to socialism or regression into barbarism." I think about that and just how painfully true this remains, especially today. But we are not helpless observers in this drama. We are direct actors. Which path we take at this crossroads is up to us. We have ideas, we have energy, we have each other, and we have the knowledge and confidence born out of places like Seattle, New York, DC, LA, Chicago, Italy, Palestine, Nepal, and many other places that we can take on and beat the most powerful adversaries, and that a better world, a socialist world, can be won. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for having me tonight, coming out, and thank you for having me tonight at Busboys and Poets. I encourage people to buy multiple copies of the book because there are obviously people here who need to read the book who are not yet here. Buy them a holiday gift. So thank you very much, and solidarity to everybody in DC.
Thank you. Now we'll transition
come
to the
down
Q&A.
for Q&A?
Yep, you can come down right here. A moment while we transition. You all can think about your questions. Yes, please. Yeah, just we can pick up the audio. Okay, I'm going to have y'all raise your hand. Also, if we can still speak in the mic just to pick it up on the live stream. I'm going to start with this person, then we'll come back up to you.
Thanks. So in your book, you say you beat Amazon. Can you tell that story and explain what you mean by you beat Amazon?
So Amazon is by far the major employer in Seattle. It occupies over 25% of all the commercial real estate in downtown. There are tens of thousands of workers, most of whom are tech workers. And in the last 20 years, it has not just grown, and we love tech workers, of course, but its growth has then caused tremendous displacement and gentrification, especially in historically black neighborhoods. And so we said, and given the housing crisis with rents averaging over $2,000 a month as we went through the 2010s, people in the community told our office, we need to be fighting. We need to be thinking big. We need more housing. And so how are you going to get more housing out of a city budget with one of the most regressive tax structures in the nation? You have to go to where the money is, and the money is with Amazon. Now, we had actually 2 rounds of battle against Amazon on this. In 2018, the Democrats, feeling the movement pressure, put forward a fairly modest proposal to raise $47 million a year to tax Amazon and build housing. That was passed by the Democrats. Immediately, Amazon, Starbucks, Microsoft, Boeing, the other major corporations that are headquartered in Seattle, announced they were enacting a repeal measure. They collected signatures, and they scared the Democrats into repealing their own vote just a couple of weeks after they had voted to approve it. Now, after that, I'm sure that big business thought that they could take us out of office completely, and they tried to do that the following year, but they failed. And when we came back in early 2020, we launched a Tax Amazon movement, starting with a rally of over 500 workers in early 2020, where workers, again, as I described during my remarks, workers came together to talk about how much should we be demanding? What's our power? What's the most we could get? And how should we fight this? What are the strategies and tactics? And actually, over the course of several of these Tax Amazon action conferences, in person at first, and then once COVID hit, online, working people made decisions about how to wage this fight. And one of the decisions was we were going to advance a demand for a $300 million Amazon tax. And we built up pressure through direct actions as best as we could during COVID, mass calls into City Hall and so on. And then the police murdered George Floyd and the streets exploded in our city and, of course, in cities all over the world. And when that happened, people saw intuitively the connection between police violence against black and brown communities and the economic displacement of those same communities by a company that was paying nothing to counteract its impact. And we gathered thousands of signatures in the streets during Black Lives Matter to put the Tax Amazon measure on the ballot if the city council failed to act. And just after we announced we had reached enough signatures to do that, the Democrats decided we better do something in the council to avoid a November class war. And they put together a proposal. It was a little shy of $300 million, but it was 4.5 times the original tax that had been passed. And we won that tax in the middle of 2020, at the same time that we were also winning bans on police weapons and other measures that the Black Lives Matter movement had advanced. That money is going toward building public housing that people on low income or no income can go into. Some of it funds Green New Deal projects as well. Now, this has turned out to be a main source of funding for the city. The estimates that we made about the amount of revenue that would come in were completely off. It's actually brought in a lot more because it turns out there's a lot more wealth in Amazon than we even estimated. And so today the measure brings in almost $400 million, and the Democrats, of course, want to steal that money for their own pet project, so it's a continuing struggle. But that is how we fought and won this money for housing. Does that help out? And let me just add, too, one of the things in the first round when the Democrats passed this modest measure, Amazon, among other things, announced immediately, we are going to stop construction on 2 major downtown office towers. That was their capital strike. And they mobilized the building trades workers, unfortunately, right, to oppose us actively, disrupt our press conference, and speak out publicly. And so they were very smart about sort of how they mobilized, a base that should have been for affordable housing, right, to oppose it. The second time around, when we won the much bigger measure, it was during Black Lives Matter, and Amazon had been making astronomical profits during the COVID shutdown. So it was much harder for them to fight back, and that is why we have the tax today. It's the strength of the movement, and it has made a huge difference in Seattle. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for writing this book. Thanks for braving DC to give that talk. I noticed you use the term socialists and you use the term Marxist. And I'm wondering if there are terms, these terms are, if they're, one is more associated with certain sort of political parties, some are maybe too loaded. Are there other terms that are too loaded? I'm wondering about how you define the difference between those two terms and other terms.
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul Newell. Thanks. And I intentionally distinguish the two because there are a lot of people who call themselves socialists, but they may not have the same sort of class analysis that Marxists would explicitly practice. So, for example, if you listen to Bernie Sanders, right, he talks about things that actually fit within sort of the orbit of, Green New Deal politics. Which were not socialists. Those who were about reforming the capitalist system to relieve the popular pressure that had been building up on the political establishment and the economic elites. Whereas for those of us who are Marxists, we say you have to analyze why the struggle exists in the first place. So you have to understand who's with you and who's against you. That's a class analysis. And therefore, what strategies and tactics do you have to practice in order to prevail? And that is different from how a lot of people within the broader socialist movement think about struggle today. If you look at, for example, Zoran Mamdani, who calls himself a democratic socialist, the things that he is proposing, by the way, which would be tremendous if we can win them, are not Marxist per se. It is not about kicking landlords out. It's about simply freezing the rent. Let me just say one other thing. There's this apparent contradiction that, well, if you say you're about class struggle and we have to actually throw the landlords out, then why are we just fighting for reforms, right? Why are we fighting just to freeze the rent? Or why are we fighting just to, take these measures that are somewhat moderate? And I would say that it is through that fight that people gain an understanding of the forces in society what our interests are, what their interests are. It builds the political consciousness more broadly about how we need to fight for and win even bigger things. So we fight for reforms, not just as reforms, we fight for them as waypoints on the way to a much bigger vision.
Have a question back here. Okay.
Hello, how are you? Hearing this for the first time, it's very interesting to me, that to the point I just have to know what inspired you to write this book. What do you think will be the end goal for someone to realize after reading this book?
I had a dream that one day I would do a book talk at Busboys and Poets on K Street in DC, and that's why, no. So I'm a union organizer, and there are, in any fight or any campaign, there are really three stages, just very broadly speaking. One is you plan and prepare. Two is you actually execute. And then three is you have to analyze what happened and then tell the story of what went wrong, what went right, what lessons there are, so we can become a smarter and bigger and bolder and more powerful movement. There are a lot of movements in our time that have done the first two, but have not done the third. And if we don't tell the stories of what we won, and I don't mean in a cheerleading sort of way, but an honest way about here's what we won, here's what we didn't win, here's why, here's what we learned through this fight. If we don't tell these stories, then they disappear into the ether of history and we don't build the movement. So I wrote this book as a movement building exercise, hoping earnestly that people will read it, that people will engage with me and offer their own critiques of it and their own experiences, and that it will build a more powerful social movement in the long run.
And any other questions? If not, I did have one, if we can give people a little bit more time if we want to wait for last questions. But I'm Gen Z, and you talked about Zoran Mamdani's run a bit throughout this talk, and we saw an extreme mobilization of young people leaning towards, or just kind of seeing really what capitalism has to offer us in the future, which is not much, with how are things going. So I was wondering if you saw a similar mobilization in your campaign when you were running with young people, if there was a diversity in age in that movement, and I guess your reflection on maybe what that says about the movement and how we are going forward.
That's a great question, Madison, and I'd say that movements are going to attract people who experience alienation to a greater degree. And so, for instance, Seattle is, probably about 65% white, but we had disproportionate turnout from communities of color, and especially actually from the queer communities, because people felt the impact of gentrification and discrimination and so on. And what they saw in Kshama's election was the possibility of building a movement to reverse bad things and actually to win good things. And I think what's interesting in New York, you have 90,000 people who volunteered at one point or another on Mamdani's campaign, and that is tremendous. But let's understand also what's going on. What's been going on since the primary is he has come under a vice grip of pressure to go along with the establishment. He has publicly renounced his declaration that the police are racist, which he said in 2020. The police are racist, right? But he came under pressure to deny, to roll back what he had said. He's agreed to keep a police commissioner on who was appointed by Eric Adams and who is part of a billionaire family, right? He has talked even about, well, maybe we don't need to tax the rich as much as we've been talking about, right? And so you look at these and other things, you look at the people he's put around him in the campaign, a lot of Democratic Party operatives, and people would be right to be skeptical. He's going to be under extreme pressure. Are we going to win a rent freeze there? Are we going to win free and fast buses? I think it depends less on him and more on what happens with those 90,000 people. How do they organize? Do they organize independently, or do they feel like, well, we've got to protect Mamdani? There's some tendency to say, well, we should support him in office, and we need to do that no matter what. I think that's wrong. I think you have to stay focused on your demands. So what happens in New York depends on how that 90,000 plus coalesces, the leadership, and how much they focus on demands. And in that light, I think younger people, Gen Z folks, are going to be pivotal, and I would say decisive in determining the direction of that budding movement.
No pressure. If we have any last questions, okay, we got a few more. I'm going to come over here, and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you.
I have a question for people.
I mentioned to you before the talk, actually, that we're in kind of a nascent, interesting political moment in Washington, D.C. We have one DSA-backed council member, Janice Lewis-George, who's a very popular council member. She's been getting a lot of pressure and whispering to potentially run for mayor in Ward 1. We just had Aparna Raj announce her candidacy. She's also a DSA-backed candidate. So I think there's a lot of like frustration right now with Mayor Bowser's handling of the federal occupation and Trump's pressures on the city. But DC is also a city that has like a very deeply entrenched support for the Democratic Party for probably obvious reasons. We're very proximal to it. And so I wondered if you had thoughts or sorry, actually a second point I was going to make is that I was actually talking to Aparna, and she was mentioning that like when she asks people what they want to change, a lot of the things people mention are like pretty small horizon, like there are too many rats in the city, which God knows there are too many rats in the city, and like someone should be on that. But also like when we're like, people's political horizon can be quite small. So what's your advice for widening people's political horizon in terms of the kind of change that is possible for us to make, and also widening people's political horizon in terms of like what kind of political leadership we could have in this city?
Thanks, Abby. Great question, and it's one I've heard practically everywhere. Too often we fixate on politics and think about electing people as being the benchmark of success. And it's true that DSA, which has done tremendous work in many different places, they talk about their electoral victories, you know, in terms of we elected this many people. But that does not lower your rent. That does not win you free buses. That does not stop the racist police, right? And so we have to build movements that have demands, and then after those demands are developed, ask the candidates, will you run on these sets of this set of demands? So in Vancouver, British Columbia, similar situation, just 2 weeks ago I was talking to them, and there's a sort of left-wing party, and we were talking about, and they were saying, well, we're thinking this person might run or that person might run, and I said, you have that backwards. You have to figure out your demands first and the candidates second. And they said, so we know the rent crisis is severe. We should have bold demands there. That's right. But we're not sure what else it's going to take to build a mass movement. I said, then you have to go and find out. And maybe what you do, and I'm not suggesting this as the formula, but in their case I said, go out on street corners, have tables at transit stations, go door knocking for the next 2 months, and ask people what is the most severe crisis that they're facing in their lives, and what should we as a city do about it. And after you go out and talk to thousands of people over a couple months, bring everyone together in an assembly, and then you will decide your demands. And then you can talk to people who want to be candidates. Somebody may say, I'm a DSA candidate. Somebody may say, I'm a Marxist. Well, we are not going to support you unless you're willing to stand by these demands and be held accountable by us in standing tall for those demands. Make sense? So I think now, in terms of the question of incrementalism versus transformative demands, I think you have to figure out how to challenge that. I think people might remember here that when in Obama's first term, he put forward a demand, a call to raise the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. It did not get any traction out of D.C. or out of the halls of Congress. It was at the same time that my union at the time, SCIU, was going out and talking to hundreds of thousands of people on the doors throughout the city. And that effort is what generated the fight for 15. Right? Workers joined the movement for 15 because it was a demand that they could imagine my life will be different, much better, if I can make 15. I'm making $9 now. I'm making $7 now. 15 is what I need to live in dignity. And so modest demands do not build movements. We need to think big and we need to think bold. And I want to just tell you one other story. So I drive part-time for Amazon. Goodness knows why they haven't fired me yet. But I was talking before work with another driver who had just hired on a few weeks ago. And, we were talking about the wages, like $26 an hour. And he said, well, it's better than the other wages in the area. And by the way, it's that high because our minimum wage in Seattle is 21 and Amazon can't hire by bumping up their rates. And he said, well, it's better than the other jobs in the area by a couple dollars. And I said, that is the wrong metric. Jeff Bezos is worth more than $200 billion. This company made $59.5 billion last year. That's what you have to measure yourself against. How's your rent? How's the cost of food? How's it putting gas in your car? Right? So we can't measure our misery against the misery of our union siblings or our non-union siblings. We have to measure it against what do we deserve.
Okay, I think we had another question up front, maybe. Yep.
So, I was reading your last chapter, and you talk about, in your 3 pillars of a Marxist insurgent politics, you talk about utilize disruption and rule breaking in small and big ways. And to what degree, maybe it's more of what is the point where we don't have an obligation to society to follow the rules that we agree to create and follow? And so what is the point when that is no longer the right thing to do, when that is no longer our prerogative? When is the time to break the rules?
I think now would be a good time, but I'm not suggesting recklessness. I mean, you have to organize it. You have to build political support for whatever actions you're going to undertake, and that is important work. You look at what the Italian workers did just a few weeks ago. Are people familiar with that? 2 million plus workers went on strike in solidarity with the flotilla going to Palestine, right? And they shut down the country for a day, and they forced the very right-wing Maloney government to make concessions to say we're not going to send arms to Israel. Now, they're going to have to hold her accountable, right? But the point is, it took that sort of level of disruption. Now, the Italians have a much longer and broader tradition of those sort of strike actions. We could not call for the kind of strike today in America that they had over in Italy. But I think we have to think very big about what it's going to take and how we get there and how we talk to our friends and neighbors and coworkers about the fact that we have to stand up in ways that we haven't before. With ICE in our neighborhoods, right, the National Guard on our streets, repression at workplace doubling down. You know, we have raids going on, not just at Amazon warehouses, but at workplaces throughout the country. These are dire times, and we need to fight back equally.
Okay, right here.
Hi, you just mentioned something about unrealistic. related to strikes. What do you think about a general strike? What's the reality of that?
Well, I think we need to think big, and I think we need to think about what would, not just that North Star up there, but how do we get there? The problem in many of the discussions on the left when the idea of some big, bold, dramatic action like a general strike comes up is that people want to make the call for that, but they haven't done the organizing to make it happen. That you have to organize. And so where you look at places like New York, where you have 90,000 people who've now become politicized through this campaign, there is the foundation to think much bigger than we're used to in our normal horizon of tactics and strategies. And it's places like New York where we can think big, and where we haven't achieved that level of organizational activity, we need to do it, right? Before we can think about, let's have a general strike, in this city or that city. We need, but I would say that overall, we are dealing with a force that is disruptive. It is the fusing of political power and the billionaires in the Trump administration. They are breaking everything, right? They're not stupid. They are very smart about how they're going about doing it, trying to destroy basic institutions where democracy happens, universities, public meetings, right? Those sorts of things, out on the streets. And so if they're doing that, we have to understand that's our opposition. What is it going to take to beat them, to push them back? And it's going to take more than a No King's Day rally. Much as I like that, right? It's the beginning, but it cannot be the end, and we can't just sort of stop it, tactics as usual. Yeah. So boycotts are an idea. I mean, but I actually would ask you, what do you think we could do, or what could you imagine us doing in the coming period if we did the right kind of organizing in the workplace and the community? What big ideas do you have?
I wouldn't say I have big ideas that are unique, but from what I've heard, it's going to take a combination of different things that we have been doing to get to a certain point. So the last King's Rally March, that was the largest protest in history, correct? If I'm not correct, okay. Then I heard it takes getting to a certain percentage, maybe 3.5% of the population protesting to overturn a fascist regime or to begin to take the steps to overturn a fascist regime before they really get settled in. Like these are the numbers that have been collected from examples in other countries where they've been able to achieve that. So in my mind, it's just going to take a collection of a variety of different actions. And I guess yeah.
It is, and how many people have heard about this 3.5% figure? It is bullshit. It really is. I have to say that it is. I mean, there's some, they gathered data and looked at different movements and how many people were involved, but it doesn't say what that 3.5% are doing. If we could get 5% of America, if we get 10% of America to sign a petition to Trump saying ICE out, do you think he would pay attention? Right? If we could get 10% of America to have a rally like the No Kings rally, saying we need, we need a rent freeze, right? That would not be enough. But then think about it this way, and this is a bit of a thought experiment because it is hypothetical at this point, but if 100,000 longshore workers on both coasts and 100,000 railroad workers went on strike and said, we are striking until we win these concessions, what would happen, right? These are workers who have structural power because of their placements in the economy. So it's not simply a numbers game. It's not how many you have with you. It is what are they doing to put pressure on the system.
And if we have any last questions, okay, right here.
Hey, Hey, yeah, one thing I've heard talking to like family members about the current moment we're in, and I think at some point I was talking about like the No Kings rally, where I was like, why do they have that we're against civil disobedience or something like that on the website? I don't know if that's still up, but I've heard this fear that if there is any sort of escalation or civil disobedience, that basically the Trump administration is just like itching to start fighting, and like they have the National Guard in the cities for reasons, and like there's this fear that fear of not wanting to pretty much like give the administration what it wants. So I was curious like what your response to that kind of type of fear, type of thinking is.
I have a thought, but does anybody else have a thought about how maybe you've had an example of where you've had to respond in that situation? Somebody who says, well, if we escalate in this way, then it's only going to provoke a sharper reaction and that will come down on us, right? Generally? Anybody? Yeah, it's already, yeah, I'd say, what I would also say is, I would ask, well, if you're an undocumented immigrant, you're already experiencing this. If you're in a black and brown community, you've been experiencing this. So, and if by logic you say we can't make bold demands or we can't employ bold tactics because our opponents might get upset at us and might fight back, that would lead us to really doing nothing, right? And I think it is important to validate the fears and concerns that people have when they say those things to you, because the backlash is real. But guess what? This is a fight, and it's only going to get sharper. And the question is whether it's going to be a one-sided fight or whether we're going to fight back. If we have a couple minutes, I want to ask people, what other ideas, and I appreciate what you had to contribute, but what other ideas do you have about what you think the potential is in your community? How do we get, and not sort of how do we get to a general strike next week, but where's your level of organization in your community, your workplace, and what can we do in the next few weeks, in the next few months, to escalate things and to build a more powerful movement?
Thanks. So I'm really taking an extremely long-term view about it and thinking like, well, what is history going to label us as in millennia, you know? And I'm a big believer in personal archiving. Like, you know, you can't just take a video of ICE tackling someone off a brown man off a moving moped. You got to store it on a solid-state hard drive. You know, you got to document these things and save them in ways that they will be remembered, because I don't know that history is written by the victors anymore. I think we have, even if our technology fails us, we have ways of dispersing our unified views of history that our oppressors cannot destroy 50,000 Holocaust survivors' testimonials on video, you know, and at any rate, I could go on about that for a while, but I think if we document our own personal and archive our own personal experiences, that's a way of fighting back eons from now. Yeah. So, yeah.
We have to do that. Other thoughts? What can we do in the next few weeks, next few months?
One moment while I make my way over there.
I think this is a strategy that's being used by Free DC, but they choose maybe like a strategic day of the week on a regular basis where they go outside and they bang pots, and with the hope that it draws neighbors, just to raise awareness, because we're here and we're talking about this, but in my opinion, majority of people are comatose. They're really not following things, and they're kind of checked out, especially if they gravitate towards technology or finance, because those areas are doing well. And I think they're being used as an excuse for just the inhumanity that we're experiencing. So actions towards raising awareness and talking about the issues, that's one step, I think.
I guess I have maybe a counter to that, which is I know quite a few people who, didn't go to the No Kings protest, not because they didn't have grievances or aren't like very angry about some things, but more that they've been to so many protests, and they are aware. I agree with you that I think there's a lot of people, a lot of like lack of awareness, a lot of complacency, but there's also quite a bit of like people who are itching to do something, and I don't know what the thing to do is, but I do think there's power in finding something that is more than just like showing up to a protest or signing a thing or whatever. I think that builds solidarity and that can be cathartic, but I think people could really rally around something a little bit more concrete that they can do that has an effect more than the building solidarity and catharsis.
Yeah, I think that some of the problems are so daunting and so enormous that it's understandable why some people withdraw, deactivate if they were ever active. And so as much as we can personalize it and put a face on this, not just what we're defending or who we're defending and then who we're opposing, that is a good thing. So you could declare a rally against capitalism and people would probably go, huh? But if you say we're going after this weapons manufacturer at their door at this address, that's a little bit different, right? So, we can say we need ICE out of our neighborhoods, but is there a specific group of people whom we need to defend, and how do we do that, right? So you think about how much you want to personalize, how much you can sort of personalize both who's with us and also who's against us in thinking through this fight.
And I think with that, we can wrap it up
Let me
unless you
just
had
say
any other
one
questions.
other thing, that in thinking through this question, and this has been a really great conversation, I want to thank all of you for coming and contributing. And this is in the last chapter of the book. We have to ask ourselves and the people around us four questions, probably more than that, but I kept it to 4. One is, what are our demands, right? And this is the people who didn't go to No Kings or people who think we should have a strike tomorrow, but right? The other is, why does the conflict exist, right? Why don't we have affordable rents? Why don't we have free transit? Why don't we have freedom on the streets from ICE, right? Why does the conflict exist? Third question, who is with us and who is against us? We need to do a power analysis to understand who are our allies or our potential allies, who are our adversaries. And then the fourth question is, given that, what do we need to do? And not what do we need to do over the next 10 years, but what is our next step in this fight? If it's at this level, to take it to that level. If it's down here, we try to move it up a bit more, right? What do we need to do is about what are the next steps that we take. That people don't build movements, just add water and stir. It takes step-by-step development and outreach and that sort of work. But boy, do we have urgency to get going on that today. So thank you again all for coming. Buy a few copies of the books. We sold out of books in Vancouver and last night in New York. I don't know if we will tonight, but if you buy multiple copies, we just might. So, and I'll sign every one of them if you want. So again, thank you for having me. Great conversation.
Thank you. I wanted to thank you all again for joining us, and thank you, Jonathan, for this amazing, enriching conversation. One more time, we're selling books right here. We're coming for you in your rotten system. Live stream if you're tuning in. You can email us after the program to get your copy. And with that, also want to remind you to close out your tab before you leave here tonight and tip your server if you think we did a good job. And with that, have a great rest of your night. Thank you.
Bring a couple books if you want to meet us there. I drop off PLP newspapers there. And
where is it?
It's on Rhode Island Avenue. Yeah. I'll talk to you afterwards.
You have my phone number, right?
I think I do, actually. Yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
They look like white? Oh, yeah. they're cozy. They're good for this as the weather gets cold. She's proud of them. Thanks. Thank you. So thanks, Colin. She'll read it in a few years. Right now she's gonna try to eat it, yeah.
Andrea?
Toby's from Valor.
Yeah, so it's sort of interesting. Like, I moved away.
From Valor?
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a good one.
For a lot of this.
Plastered over.
I was born in 96, so graduated 2014.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was there
No,
for a while.
everyone I used to people in front of their
Yeah. So
And
some
then
of the
I'm
stuff
like,
has
where's
come
the
up.
signature? And they're like, oh, haha. And I'm like, no.
Where was I living?
My high school was like 2 blocks.
Yeah, Green District, Vermont.
Yeah.
Most say North of District. I met her.
Oh, that's awesome. What progress?
Okay, so Andrea Finette.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron.
Okay.
I was sort of curious, like, I haven't been following politics too much.
Oh, cool.
I usually when I'm there to visit.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
it's a lot with like public housing and industry specifically. Or
Well, you meant
Seattle?
yeah, I thought there was like some more, wasn't there like a new source of funding for public housing or something?
Yeah, there's a new tax on
How did you
homeowners
land here?
that is also going to be a new social housing fund.
That's right. And it was like, wasn't one of them that's like the city's getting more involved directly or something
Well,
like that? Or?
yeah, so
Okay.
what it does is it actually, it does not, the problem we have with a challenge with much of the money, with the money that goes into the city budget through the Amazon taxes,
Yeah.
then it goes out to nonprofit providers in many
Yeah.
cases, and some of them are better than others. And this social housing fund would have us
Oh, thank you.
set money in a dedicated pot with a board that is going to manage and oversee the construction and manage the prices. So it's a little bit,
Yeah.
it's much more ambitious.
Further advancing around a little bit.
I guess the thoughts of that was, I remember the initial you I don't know. Growing up in college, I know a lot of I've been there before. And I'm sort of like, it sort of boggles my mind a little bit to think of like some of the also Magnolia for a bit. So it's like, oh, Magnolia Valley, like, it's really interesting. More some of those people voting for like those types of things. It's not half the one arena for sending something I left on it. You mentioned your Gen Z.
Yeah.
That's some sort of Gen Alpha
Well,
band. No, it's a band.
no, I mean, those are communities that are whiter and more affluent, especially.
Yeah. Teeny bar. We're trying to explain the something Democrat that was.
But, you know, it's interesting, the first time Kshama ran was on a citywide basis.
Yeah.
And she won, you know, she did well in a lot of those neighborhoods where people were relatively well off because they saw the social crises and even they experienced economic crisis. Saw somebody who was doing politics. So what do you do in DC right now?
Right on Monday, but it was working in tax. But we go out here
Well, see, photos and a bunch of singers involved. They look like different people, but all have the same haircut and some facials.
Let me ask you a question. If you don't know the answer, it's okay, but why are there so many days?
Thank you.
I really should know. Or like I've been looking more into, or like data centers.
One of the first ones was made there, and that's like, well, we're going to do one. If it's
Some of
closer,
it,
there's some.
yeah, some of it is like the data centers don't have that. Like once they're built, they don't have that many employees. But they are. It's like they're pretty skilled in
Takes a
labor.
lot of land, electricity, and water.
Yeah. But as far as labor and like expertise, you don't actually need that many people to work at a single data center and still have a population that does have that those skills. Like it's a lot easier. They'll have like I talked to people who are like traveling. I got a conference of like data centers at such a point, or not a conference, a session at a conference. But yeah, like there's people who work in the Virginia area who work at a number of data centers, and they just like, or their contractors, located, but they do have this specialized stuff. So I think that's part of it. Probably just like having a
Usually it's tax rate.
Yeah.
Electricity.
Yeah. No, I'm sure they have that. Yeah. No, I don't know the exact structure of the tax rates. I just know the labor. That's just like, I was thinking about how the labor gets part of it.
You want me to sign everything?
At least 10 would be good.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'll sign as many as you want.
Got 8 locations, and then we want a few extra.
I was going to close out my time, so I guess someone I can
Oh,
talk
yes.
to.
I think Oh, yes. No worries.
Thank you, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Participating in the conversation.
It was a really great conversation.
I'm sorry there weren't more people.
No, it's all totally okay. Honestly, we had about 10 watching consistently online, so I was putting it together. That was about 20, so No, yeah, that happens. You really never know with events, especially we do free RSVPs. Um, so sometimes people will not forget, but then sometimes we'll get way more people who RSVP'd will come. So you never know. But I find that the smaller events always have the best conversations and like Q&As. So
Just sitting around and talking. Some of the events I did, like in Ottawa and Hamilton, Ontario, there was, 10, 12 people, and you just sat around and actually didn't speak. Yeah.
I can see that.
I mean, if you want, I'll sign a different.
Oh no, it's all completely up to you. You wrote the book, so you get to make decisions.
Whatever you want. How many books have you sold?
I think we sold about 5. I will be right back.
Yeah, probably long past.
Yeah. You did a good job. Yeah. You probably started. Yeah. She stopped throwing it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're little blocks. Yeah, exactly. It's always like, if they like, accidentally like say E, and I usually don't even know. It's a bit I do. Yeah, then they're like, sorry, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, she literally I'm like, that's too. And I'm like, there's no one cat does not. Yeah, it's a baby. Like, she doesn't You make me laugh. There's more time. Exactly, make me feel like, I don't know.
That's a good thing, but it's like,
Yeah. I feel like I've like never, like as a system, I feel like I've never like been like imperfection and social anxiety and I can't always tell if they're too loud. If they like can't tell or if they like say it on the and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I had a daughter down there.
Oh,
And I know I just read her and no just like okay, say oops. Right.
I was like, these are all signs.
yep, thank you.
I'm happy to send more if you want, but
I mean, okay, maybe like 2 more.
That's possible. Yeah. But I also think that like
This is for convention.
on like girls too, right? And I just like hey, God, what she did. So yeah, exactly. So I think it's also things that just have things. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. My mom and I was just like, I don't know, get these clothes from somewhere. Right, yes. Exactly. Yeah, so maybe she hasn't smell okay. Right. Yeah.
are you gonna be doing
I'm back now.
Okay, back.
Yeah, I'm trying to be sort of like 75%. I have to
And thank you again for
Hey,
this
thank you.
presentation.
Yeah.
It's going to be up on our YouTube for those that see the future. We don't
Can you send me the link?
Yeah, I can send you the link as well. Yeah.
That's great. Is it up already? Or
Yeah, it stays up after the live stream ends. I'll forward it to you right now before I forget.
And I hope you get them all sold. What I'd
Yeah.
like to do is, so these are my union siblings from the National Writers Union. You can send out a message to folks and say, hey, if you missed this event,
Yeah.
is it going to be at every store?
It's going to be here for about a week until we can distribute, but then they're going to be everywhere.
Okay.
But yeah, if not, if you like folks thinking like, oh, get your signed copy at the 450K location, that would be great.
Okay, so let me make a note on that.
That's amazing. Oh, cool. Okay. Very cool. Very well. Next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to organize the meetings whenever. I feel like that can be Yeah, it's 10 minutes.
Where's your restroom?
There's one of those double doors to the right in this hallway, also on your way out if you want to go. Yeah. No worries. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, not I mean, I don't. Yeah. So yeah.
We used to. We actually some a museum gave us a free but we just like didn't. So I mean, I think especially people who yeah. Bad ideas, bench, small. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, we shoot a picture of the four of us. Yes. No. Partner. Like big. Even. One, two, three. One, two, three. And actually, if you look one, do you want to put backwards? Because if the union wants to put it online, yeah. Oh. One, two. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Whew. Yeah.
Car baby. In baby, you know.
Awesome. internal. Great. All right. Yay. Let's see. Okay. Really, really hard. It's nice to meet you. Good to see you. Yeah, sorry for us. Sorry for the
Your friends call the trustees on Monday before.
yeah, yeah.
You want me to send out a Zoom link?
Well, thank you. All right, take care, guys. Good to see you. So much like stairs.
And Paul Newell, I was suggesting to Madison that we could put out a word to the chapter members here in DC to say, if you missed the event, come to Busboys and Poets here and get a copy.
Yeah,
Is that something
I
you
can
can
do that
do?
right now.
Yeah?
We have the signed copies in the front as well.
Yeah, you get a signed copy from your union sibling if you act now before they go.
Thank you again so much.
Thank you. Where would you like this to go?
You can just leave it on one of the tables right there. Let us know when you're writing your next book, and we'll have you again.
Yeah. we'll have to do more
Whenever that is, no rush on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you
one.
very much.
For Madison, yes. Thank you so much. Thanks for helping out tonight.
That's what we here for. We here to be your mouth, to be your to stick up. Don't let nobody get rid of like that.
Have a good one. Have a great one. Sorry, it's coming soon.
Oh, the bus.
Well, I was trying to, but I need you to hold. Okay. Now it's saying like 5 more minutes. Whew.
Oh, yo, you see the white girl named Baby? Did that baby look black past on his hands?
I've seen her before.
On my wall.
Is that nigga smoking?
Riding the bike while smoking a cigar? Hey, you know your big ass ain't got enough sitting on it.
You got my piece?
Nah, I got some.
So last time they stopped behind the truck, but I'm hoping they go in front this time. I don't want to walk over there. It literally is up the street though. Like I should not be Ubering from this way. 14th and me maybe because I have to connect, but like this is literally just a straight shot.
Dude up in the office, yeah. He was sitting there like, so how did you find out? Excuse me. I just found out about this thing, you know? I'm always interested in something. So,
What'd you say?
I said, oh, my friend at work told me about it, and they, oh, I can't tell, because I ain't know if, you know, buddy your friend, so I'm like, I can't tell my real name. Sorry, my wife.
Most people, like, in the restaurant, unless you're like a manager or something, come in like they'll like see you like actually like oh sounds like
No, he was your friend.
oh
I'm saying, like, what if you do your arm?
oh
Because the crowd just
yeah I think it's probably like
um, talking about
I try to be at the stop at least 5 minutes when it's supposed to be there. But like some on a rare occasion they come on time and then you look like and then I feel like every time it's on time it gets updated like now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
and why every time I go to a Busboys post, this young just got the beer out of I had drinks. You know how strong that wine was? It's after we put these balls.
Probably bring down my stuff now. I last Monday I read Robert for the first time and I was like, oh, this is I never got the
I'm a
first
guy who likes burgers. I'm a good burger.
I don't know why I was thinking like I don't know how this is gonna be. It wasn't just like man, it was like
No,
but I thought it would be better if we saw
I told my mom.
I know I'm just
Lame, man. Please come back.
See how it feels?
Nah,
Like
I don't like that. Because I do my own discuss. I be like, yeah. Because, you know, I'm expressing. But I'm already a country. So you're already expressing. Now you got me talking about it. I was showing my mom. Because you can see the way he was. Look how I walk. Motherfucker said. I just found out what the hell. Oh, nigga.
oh I knew that.
I didn't know. I had to unfollow. I didn't unfollow her. I like that too much. I'm like, she's so interested.
I'm like, you don't give a fuck.
Well, I gave a fuck that Jid went to him, and that broke my heart. I ain't listened to his last album.
Well, I guess you're not gonna stop listening.
I'm not gonna stop listening, but like, I ain't gonna support that nigga. I'm gonna go to that show, but like, if that nigga be like, yo, go hands, I'll be like, fuck you. Hate you. Nigga didn't even graduate, cuz.
Stop.
Stop.
You can't be touching on my boobies in public, man.
Hey, you be having me. Anyway, I was telling my mom about the pictures on Instagram. She looked at me. She was like, "Cornelius look different." I'm like, "He got chunky." She was like, "You know what he did?"
I feel like he did not look that different.
Because you seen him more than my mother did. You gotta think about that. But Cornelius has gained weight. Plus, you know what? I don't really believe I don't trust your eye. You be thinking everybody look the same at one point. You don't be out enough. That nigga did gain weight. I ain't gonna hold you. You too busy thinking about the face. She's looking all around. So her, she's like, he looks fuller. Yeah, he's gained some weight. You thinking the nigga get a new hairstyle or something. You hear somebody say he looks different.
I can't.
Well,
like if you
the
lose
problem,
50 pounds, yeah,
the problem
like
is
10 pounds.
you met Cornelius when he was low key already gained weight. You didn't meet him when he was skinny. So you can't tell. Me and my mom was just talking. I was telling her, Jaylee didn't know that our great grandmother was Egypt. She didn't know she was from the island. And why my mama said me, she was like, we don't even know her real age. Because they think my great grandmother was 120. Because by the time she was born, she didn't have records. So I'm like, how the fuck do I know my future grandmother age? They said by her latest medical work, we thought she might have been 101. Well, I'm about to buy a scooter for you so you take this shit.
With all this?
I walk with this shit home. You just take the scooter.
It says 8:03 now.
I don't believe that bullshit.
When we left, it said 7:55.
Must be later than the deadbeat father.
You just like to complain.
I just hate the bus. Like I hate it with a passion. I hate it like white women hate responsibility. I mean accountability. You think I like to complain about everything?
Oh.
You're a liar. I don't complain about everything. I love you, this shit.
I'm glad I don't have to buy alcohol. We're going out on Friday, right?
That what? 8:03. The way I found out Becca was from Hampton was she was on TikTok today. She did a video talking about that question. I told you about showing on Twitter. I didn't even know who was that asked that question. It was that Ari, one who was like, she heard the big mom or whatever. She was one who asked that question. My homecoming, like, do you want to be why is something wrong? I got this. I gave her slack over on my nigga. If you ain't going to college, you really don't know. But she also the alumni and students. This was a community thing. This is a community thing for HBCUs. I forgot about that.
Bacon and cheddar without the cheddar. Yeah, but I have my own cheese in the house that I would like. Yeah, but I would just prefer to have the cheese I have. I'm not crazy. Just picky. I mean, if you're lactose intolerant, you don't get a pass.
Tuna is one of them, but they don't really need it, but it's good when you got tuna. What else?
I low-key think it might need cheese.
You think a tuna sandwich needs cheese? I mean, you can add it, but you don't really need it to make a good sandwich.
Okay, maybe not need it, but I would like it.
You would like the option.
I would.
What's another sandwich that don't need cheese?
I don't think chicken sandwiches always need
They
cheese.
don't. That's about brown chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
But I prefer cheddar or mozzarella or provolone.
I like a Monterey Jack too.
See, I got my
Yes, it is.
What? I said that was so dumb.
It is though. It is though. We don't want to do that though. I ain't got nothing for you.
Luckily, I get paid.
Well, no, I got some things like on Monday night. This is the last day you could eat them.
And I know it ain't gonna cook up.
It's the whatever inferno that they have at Busboys. You should have told me you wanted something.
Well, I thought I forget. I don't know why today was the day I forgot to do something. But honestly, no, the problem is I didn't think I was going to come over here.
Oh yeah, that was my bad.
I thought I was going to be sick to catch an nappy in that water.
You can get something from the grocery store.
Because the price I spent at here is $10
But also, I got something earlier today during my break, so I didn't have like my full 35. I just got some sliders during happy hour.
Maybe I'm big too. That's why I was.
Yeah. You should have just got like 2 happy hour things to go.
The meatballs should feel good. But for some reason this week I've been like, I think because I've been working out, my appetite has been hard. Because working out kind of subsides my appetite. So like my body's still on home all the time.
I haven't been drinking the past couple of days, but like now I'm ready again to drink wine.
That wine, right?
No, restaurant wine always makes. I'm like, oh, I should be drinking the cheap shit. Huh? Should you not eat bread with wine? Why?
Because wine has yeast in it. They double dry.
Damn, I thought the bread like solved something out.
Oh no, I'm thinking of beer.
Yeah.
But it's fermented.
Mhm.
You ferment bread. I don't know, man. That's why I had to
Whatever the hell was in it. It's after the light. It's after the light. Wanna pass it?
You ever heard of Earth?
Yeah.
So one of them, Dr. Doc, or
I like
groundbreaking.
missed calls.
Huh?
Don't they do the missed calls song?
What is Miss Calls?
That song by Earth Gang.
That might be some early work. I ain't never heard
Oh.
of. Liquor store off of there. Liquor store go crazy. With Reaper.
You need to listen to this one.
My fault. Beat my ass. So, Dr. Doc, or groundbreaking work, he dropped his own album by himself, a solo project. I'm
Also, don't know what these niggas look like.
Oh God, you don't. Hannah knows.
If they walked past me right
would
now,
not know.
I wouldn't know.
That's the perfect type of fame I would want. I don't want nobody knowing what I look like. Just,
All you have to do is not put your shit on your album covers.
honestly, yeah. Just don't show my face on it.
Don't put your face on your album covers and then do like minimal interviews. Or do like gorillas where you have like animated avatars of yourself.
Nah, see, this is why I'm a little petty, because I'm like, if a nigga try to claim my shit, I'm mad. I'm not showing the face. I'm like, in my bars.
I think I would want to do something like that.
I don't
Like gorillas.
I'm not gonna lie, niggas like you annoy me this whole, like Billie Eilish, where she's like a singer, but she's like, I don't like people knowing about me. Then what the fuck is the point of you singing?
You know how like mangakas have like their little
Who the fuck is mangakas?
people who write manga.
Oh.
Hurry, we're in the street.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. You said
I just be saying shit and like not adding no context.
what the fuck is that? Oh shit.
I forget how much of a nerd I am sometimes.
I'm about to bust a gut. Oh fuck.
That's what they're called.
I ain't never heard that. That's
You're not a real nerd.
That's a real thing?
Yes, that's what they call that's what they call manga authors.
Oh shit. Mangaka. That sound like a
Like Oda is the best mangaka to ever live.
That sound like a transformer. Oh my god.
Don't piss me off.
Oh, you want to say how much?
Don't piss me
You
off.
want to say how much that shit said? Oh my gosh, you know what? I'll get you whatever you want for 3 years off of that. So
Okay.
that might be
That wasn't even a joke.
yo, that shit makes it funny. I like it.
Thank you. I already know what it is, and I feel like it's too late in Halloween if it don't fit. It don't fit. It's fine.
Oh, that's Halloween.
Huh?
That's Halloween.
Yeah.
Because I sure was waiting for you to tell me when to buy something. You ain't tell me nothing.
Well, I had tried buying something like a few weeks ago, but I feel like shipping.
Good. That's it, Monica. I'm sorry.
So you want to move it on and kiss him up?
No.
That's true. I like using you as my angry boy. I actually need to get some.
You got me going over the city. I'm so motherfucking tight.
The city, whenever you come, I pick up whenever you come, and you're back in the person.
Sorry, I don't need that.
We can go slow, we can go faster. Don't look right. You wanna have a sing on?
Give me a song. I'll sing that motherfucker right off. Give me a song.
Sing the nationwide.
Huh?
Sing the nationwide. Me, 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 me.
You know, black people got to do extra shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nationwide Oh, nationwide is on your side. Yeah. Yeah, nigga.
That was bad.
You can, what? Do the Proud Family
That
thing
was
song, man,
horrible.
fuck nigga.
Oh, I give you a simple thing and you want me to sing
Since you want to
Beyonce?
talk shit, nigga.
And you want me to
First
sing
off,
Beyonce?
it was
That's
Solange.
not fair.
It's Solange.
Okay.
The
you know
better
what I mean.
singer. They actually sing the same. My fault. Then give me another one then. Cause I don't know no jingles. Oh, Liberty. Do Liberty Mutual, nigga. Do that.
What's that? How'd that go again?
Liberty, 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 liberty. Do that, nigga.
Okay.
See, even just there, I was just whoop
Here we go.
I hope that wig follow.
Liberty.
Yeah, fuck out of here.
Liberty. Liberty.
You sweat because you know that shit was straight. Give me another one then, fuck it.
Okay, are we just gonna keep doing insurance?
Do whatever you want. Kid. Do whatever you
We should do. We should keep doing insurance.
What's another insurance jingle?
State Farm.
There is no jingle for State
Oh, there's
Farm.
no. It's just they just say it, huh?
Make it realize say State Farm.
I feel like that is the jingle.
You're thinking of Nationwide is on your side. Oh wait, that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
There's no jingle for State Farm. Ain't no jingle for fucking.
I thought it was like if your neighbor State Farm is there.
Oh, okay. Reform is there. Beat that hoe.
Like a good neighbor.
Took that motherfucker to church.
State Farm is there, but he ain't there like Jesus said.
See, now that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. You putting the God's son in it.
Now turn to your neighbor and say, God's got a blessing.
That's fucked up because I actually do like that song.
I know, me too.
Makes no difference what you're going through. You're gonna make it. What? God's gonna see you through. Hold your head up. Hey! Put a smile on your face. This is another test. It won't last always. So get ready. Quiet. For your blessing. Get ready.
Get ready
For your miracle.
for your miracle.
Get ready.
Get ready
For your blessings.
for your blessing.
Get ready.
Get ready
For your miracle.
for your miracle.
Except for the gays, though. Y'all get no miracles.
That's fucked up.
Oh my gosh, my nigga, you need to catch up to One Piece. Cause the new episode, nigga, some shit done went down, nigga. Some motherfucking shit, cuz. They got the whole motherfucking squad on the block. You know what I'm saying? Nigga got the motherfucking name. That nigga Luffy, bing, bow, boom. You know, Robin, bitch, I'm injured. Sanji, that motherfucker, Sailor Pure, and that motherfucker, yo, where's Bond, kid? I swear to God, you heard? Like, words to my mother. They was in there like, bow. Yo, shit really hit him like, boom, bow, God. There's some wild shit going on. The big apple head nigga, Vega Punk. Yo, where's Bond, kid? Nigga really got smacked. Bow.
So do you know how like the different characters have different like song things in the middle?
Yeah.
Can we add that to our wedding? Like when we walk down, like for the different like bridesmaids and things.
Like, legitimately, yeah. As fuck. Why you gotta get anime theme? See, you're making my goal. You're making my grill thing look a little bit more appealing than that nerdy shit.
I think that we should have a One Piece theme wedding.
Your mama gonna smack the shit out you.
She won't know though. It'll be subtle.
How is it gonna be subtle?
Because it'll be subtle.
If we do this, you can't have no fake ass. You can't have a Zoro and Sanji next together trying to force their gay shit on niggas. That is my one thing, because the niggas are not gay. So if you got a gay couple in your wedding, the niggas cannot be Zoro and Sanji, because the niggas is not gay, my nigga.
Mine's just so limited these days.
I'm gonna choke the shit out you. See, I'm not gonna be rough with you during a sexy time no more if you don't stop. You're not gonna get this anymore. Okay, maybe a little. Come on, yeah. If you would like, we gotta go get your wine.
You're coming with me?
Well, I'm going to McDonald's.
Oh.
So hurry the fuck up!
Wait, so while I go to the grocery store, you're gonna go to McDonald's? And
Yeah,
we're
I'm
gonna
pretty sure
meet?
you're gonna beat me anyway because it's like 8:20. So like,
But then who takes the keys?
you're gonna take the key. If you beat me while I'm in the store and come back up here, you just come back up here, put the stuff in, and then come back downstairs. Cause it's 8:20, so it's like more likely gonna be packed in that with niggas. Cause you know the kitchen, you know the inside closes at 9. I'll be okay to wait like 3 minutes while you're in. So come on.
I'm also trying to think what all I absolutely need.
A lot. Sorry.
Watch me not come back and get you.
I was about to talk shit and say I'll go home, but my keys right here and I would have forgot it.
I think I should just get wine and juice, probably. tea. Do you want me to get you like some Minute Maid punch?
Give whatever punch you want, and I'll drink with you.
Well, I was gonna get that green tea again, so.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Okay.
I enjoy the green tea, just not from the dog.
I like it because I think it. Let me not say that.
What you was gonna say?
I was gonna say I think it goes good with everything, but I'd be mixing shit regardless.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, my nigga. I wasn't gonna fight you on it. It mixes everything well for you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say the for me part, because I understand that. That's your drink of choice.
Mhm.
See, I don't judge niggas on what they drink. When they're intelligent. My fault. Let me finish that statement.
Wouldn't you just clown niggas about espresso martinis?
When was I especially niggas for an espresso martini?
That must have been somebody else.
Nah, no, for real. Tell me. I forget shit. I'm talking so much shit.
When we was gonna get espresso martinis,
What I said?
he was like espresso martini.
I was drunk. I was knocking the mimosas back. Yeah, I was clowning niggas. That sound like me. Yeah, I was on niggas' heads. Niggas try to say wrong, bitch.
That must have been somebody else.
Oh, I sent you a
Okay.
TikTok on TikTok called "What's Up, My Nizer?" Like colonizers. Go look at that bitch. Go, I swear to God, that shit funny as fuck. Go look at it right now.
Nizer with a hard R.
They said, "Oh, my fault, my nizza." Can I kiss you or you overstimulated?